Hi, welcome to Sabbath School Daily, where we have been studying from this lesson right here, God's mission, my mission. This week we're studying from lesson number 8, which has the title, Mission to the Needy, and today is Tuesday's lesson, which has the title, Refugees and Immigrants. Today's lesson isn't an easy one. It has to do with how we minister to people that are running away from bad situations, especially in this case, refugees and immigrants. The first thing that we have to remember here is that Jesus himself, God made flesh, was an immigrant and a refugee. As a child, he ran away to Egypt, fleeing from Herod that killed all of the young children in Bethlehem, trying to kill Jesus, and Jesus and his family, his mom and his dad, they ran away to Egypt. So when we pray to God, we're not speaking to someone who doesn't know what it's like to be a refugee and an immigrant. And what that should do in us is create larger sympathy for those that are going through that situation. Remember, friends, these are human beings. These are people with feelings, with emotions, with love, with care, with fear that are going through that horrible situation of not knowing what comes next, not knowing who they can rely on, what the future has in store for them. And so people that are going through that are in survival mode, and it's up to us to try to care, to try to minister to their needs if we're given that opportunity. Now, the reason why this is so difficult is because oftentimes when it comes to ministering to immigrants or refugees, we're dealing with people that have vastly different backgrounds, different cultures, different traditions, different religions, different languages than us. And all of these barriers can make it very difficult. After all, there's a universal law that people usually fear what they don't know. And since we don't know them, since we have so many barriers between us and them, we tend to fear them. But again, if I understand the Bible correctly, the God of heaven, he wants his children to minister even to those that are so different from themselves. Look, I myself know what it means to be an immigrant. My wife and I moved from Brazil to the United States a few years ago. And while I had already lived here as a child and I grew up here, I had never lived here as an adult yet, especially so far from family. But for my wife, it was even more extreme because she had never even left Brazil. She had never gone out of Brazil. She didn't know the language. The culture was different. So just observing her and seeing what she was going through, I know and appreciate so much the people that came, that became our friends, that surrounded us in the church setting, in the neighborhood, in the community that we lived in Texas. That support meant so much to her because it was a very fragile moment for her. It wasn't the easiest of times, learning the language, learning the culture. So if we can offer that to people that are in the same situation, I'm sure that that will be a blessing for them and for us as well. Friends, we're not going to be in heaven alone. And we're not going to be in heaven with only people from our community, from our neighborhood, from our country that speak the same language. We're going to be in heaven with people from around the world. Because under God and in him, we are one. And so we need to learn how to minister to people who are immigrants and people who are going through the situation of being refugees. Now, that's not naturally done. I feel that at that point, we need to be very strategic. We need to think about it. We need to learn a few things. How can I minister to someone that is so different from me? So maybe a little bit of study, a little reading into their culture, into what they're going through, perhaps their geopolitical situation. Why are they running away? Why are they immigrating? What is their language? What is their religion? What is their culture? What is their tradition? So that we can form connections. That's how we connect with people. Friends, there's nothing wrong in understanding other people. There's nothing wrong in understanding other religions. You don't have to accept it, but understand it so you can form connections with people, so you can become their friend. Remember what we talked about yesterday? Jesus' method. How does it begin? It's getting to know them. It's becoming their friend. So that's what Jesus did, and that's what we're called to do as well. The lesson today mentions several verses. It mentions Deuteronomy 10:19, Psalm 146 verse 9, Romans 12 verse 13, and Leviticus 23 verse 22. So I really want you to read these verses because they're going to give you good perspectives into what we just talked about. Don't forget to do that. The lesson isn't only tuning into Sabbath School Daily, it's reading your lesson and looking up the Bible verses that are mentioned there for your edification and for your arsenal of knowledge when it comes to ministering to others. Please remember to comment down below with any questions or any comments. I'd love to interact with you. And also please remember to like, to share, and to subscribe to our videos. We release one every day, and I hope to see you again here tomorrow for another Sabbath School Daily.